The Rocky Mountains are often described as breathtaking. Endless pine forests, snow-covered peaks, and silence so deep it feels sacred. But those who have lived, worked, or traveled deep into these mountains know the truth. The Rockies are not empty. They are watching. This first encounter comes from northern Colorado, near a stretch of wilderness so remote that even park rangers avoid staying after dark. What happened there has never been officially explained. Encounter 1. The Whistling Tree Line. In the fall of 2016, Daniel Mercer accepted a seasonal job as a wildlife survey assistant. His task was simple on paper: hike into restricted zones, set up motion cameras, document animal movement, and return before nightfall. Daniel was not inexperienced. He had grown up camping, understood mountain weather, and respected the dangers of wildlife. But nothing in his training prepared him for what waited beyond the tree line. On his third week, Daniel was assigned to Zone K-17, a dense, elevated forest area with unusually low animal activity. Rangers joked that even the bears don't like it up there. At 7:10 a.m., Daniel began his hike. The weather was calm, the sky gray but clear. His radio crackled briefly before falling silent, something that happened often in that area. At by 9:30 a.m., he reached the boundary marker. That's when the forest changed. The air felt heavier, like the pressure before a storm, yet the wind was completely still. No birds, no insects. Even his footsteps sounded wrong, muted, like the ground was absorbing sound. Daniel noted in his log: unnatural quiet past marker. No wildlife signs. As he moved deeper, he began hearing something faint: a whistle. At first, he assumed it was wind passing through narrow branches. But the sound was too rhythmic. 3 short notes. A pause. Then 3 again. The problem was simple: there was no wind. Daniel stopped walking. The whistling stopped too. He waited. 30 seconds passed. Then the sound came again. Closer this time. It wasn't coming from one direction. It was circling him. Daniel raised his radio. Static. He called out, "Hello? Ranger station, do you copy?" Nothing. The forest felt like it was leaning inward. That's when he noticed the trees. They were marked. Every trunk around him had deep vertical scratches, far too high to be made by any animal native to the Rockies. Some marks were over 8 feet off the ground. Daniel's breathing became shallow. He took a step back. The whistling stopped. A new sound replaced it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, heavy, but spaced incorrectly, as if whatever was walking didn't fully understand how legs worked. Daniel turned in a full circle. He saw nothing. Then a voice spoke. Daniel. His blood turned cold. N01 at the station had used his name on the radio that morning. Daniel. The voice repeated, coming from behind a cluster of trees. It sounded human, but wrong. Too flat. Too careful, like someone imitating speech after hearing it only once. Daniel ran. Branches tore at his jacket as he sprinted downhill, ignoring trails, ignoring direction. The whistling returned, now louder, distorted, almost playful. He didn't stop until he reached the boundary marker again. The moment he crossed it, everything went silent. Normal forest sounds returned instantly: birds, wind, distant movement. Daniel collapsed. When rangers found him an hour later, he was shaking uncontrollably and unable to speak. His camera equipment was gone. When asked why he ran, Daniel wrote only one sentence on a notepad: "It knew my name before I said it." The cameras placed in Zone K-17 were never recovered. That zone remains permanently closed. The Rockies stretch across thousands of miles, hiding countless valleys, caves, and forests where signals die and maps lose meaning. And that was only the first encounter. In Part 2, we move deeper into the mountains, where a group of hikers followed a trail that officially does not exist, and found something waiting for them at the end. If the first encounter suggested that something watched people in the Rocky Mountains, the second proved something far worse. Some places were never meant to be found at all. This account comes from a group of 4 experienced hikers who entered the southern Wyoming Rockies in the summer of 2019. What they encountered was documented, but later quietly dismissed. Encounter 2. The trail that wasn't on any map. Mark Ellis, Rachel Sue, and brothers Tyler and Evan Brooks planned a 3-day backpacking trip through a section of wilderness just outside a protected reserve. They had permits, modern GPS devices, and physical maps. None of that helped them. On the first day, the hike was normal. Pine forests, rocky inclines, distant snowcaps. Around noon, Tyler noticed something odd. A trail marker. It was old, wooden, sun-bleached, with a faded arrow carved into it. The arrow pointed away from the official trail. Rachel checked the map. "That trail doesn't exist," she said. Evan laughed. "Probably an old hunting path." Mark hesitated. The marker wasn't on their GPS either, but curiosity won. They followed it. The trail narrowed quickly, but it was clearly maintained. The ground was compacted, branches trimmed back. Someone, or something, used it regularly. After 20 minutes, their GPS units lost signal at the same time. All of them, phones, watches, emergency beacons, dead. Then came the smell, cold, damp earth mixed with something metallic and old. Not decay, something sharper. The forest changed again, just like Daniel Mercer's encountered NO birds to NO wind. Even their voices sounded wrong, echoing too quickly, as if the air was thinner. That's it, Mark said. We turned back. They turned around. The trail behind them was gone. Where there should have been a clear path was dense forest, thick undergrowth, fallen logs, untouched ground. No footprints. No sign they had ever walked there. Rachel's voice shook. That's not possible. Tyler ran forward, pushing through bushes, trying to find the trail that he came back pale. There's nothing. It's like it erased itself. Then they heard it. A low humming sound. Not mechanical. Not natural. It pulsed slowly, vibrating through the ground rather than the air. They followed the sound. Not because they wanted to, but because staying still felt wrong, like waiting would make things worse. The trail reappeared ahead of them. At the end of it stood something impossible, a clearing perfectly circular, with stones arranged in patterns that didn't match any known symbol. In the center was a tall wooden structure, partially rotted, bound with old metal fastenings. It looked like a watchtower, but there were no stairs to no door, and no reason for it to be there. The humming stopped. That's when Evan noticed movement. Something was standing at the edge of the trees. It was tall. Too tall. Thin in a way that made depth hard to judge. It didn't move forward. It simply shifted, appearing closer without walking. No one spoke. Then it tilted its head and smiled. Not with emotion, but like it was practicing. Rachel screamed. The sound echoed back at them. Not once, but twice. The second echo came from a different direction. Then a third. The hikers ran. This time, the forest let them go. They burst onto an official trail less than 10 minutes later. GPS signals returned instantly. Search teams later tried to locate the unmarked trail. They never found it. The hikers were interviewed separately. All four described the same details, the same clearing, the same structure, the same smile. One park official closed the file with a single line. Likely shared stress-induced hallucination. But hallucinations don't erase trails, and they don't smile back. 2 encounters. 2 locations. The same patterns, silence, disorientation, something that knows when it's being watched. In the Rocky Mountains, snow doesn't just cover mistakes, it records them. Every step, every pause, every moment someone hesitates before realizing they should never have come this far. This third encounter took place in the high-altitude snowfields of central Colorado, where even experienced rescue teams operate with extreme caution. What they followed that night still has no explanation. Encounter 3. The footprints in the White. In February 2021, a satellite distress signal was detected near an isolated alpine basin. The caller didn't speak. No voice, no message, just an open line filled with wind noise. Standard protocol was followed. A 3-person search and rescue team was deployed before nightfall. The weather was brutal but manageable. Snowfall had stopped hours earlier, leaving a clean, untouched landscape. Perfect conditions for tracking. That's when they saw the footprints. They appeared less than half a mile from the signal's last known location. Bare footprints, no boots. No gear impressions. Just human feet pressed directly into the snow. That alone was impossible. Temperatures were well below freezing. Exposed skin would have failed within minutes. But it got worse. The footprints were perfectly spaced. No stumbling. No dragging. No signs of pain or panic. Just calm, deliberate steps. The team followed them. The prints led uphill, against the wind, against common sense. At one point, they stopped abruptly. No turned at no disturbance. No body. Just ended. As if the person had been lifted straight up. The team marked the spot and began scanning the surrounding area. That's when the radio crackled. A voice came through. Do you see them too? The team froze. The voice was not from dispatch. It was coming through on an unused emergency channel. Before anyone could respond, the transmission cut out. Then they noticed something else. Another set of footprints. These were larger, deeper, longer strides, and they were circling the first set, slowly, methodically. The rescue team made the decision to retreat immediately. As they turned back, snowfall began again, sudden and heavy, reducing visibility to almost nothing. But the footprints behind them didn't disappear. They multiplied. By the time the team reached their extraction point, there were dozens of tracks in the snow, some human, some not quite. Later analysis found no missing persons matching the distress signal. No records. No equipment. No explanation. The official report concluded. Signal source undetermined. Environmental interference likely, but one rescuer added a handwritten note that never made it into the final file. Something was already there, waiting for us to notice it. 3 encounters point 3 different regions, the same disturbing pattern. Silence, disorientation, something that watches, follows, and imitates.